Welcome to Fear My Reviews. This is Chris Johnson with this kind of late review of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. I apologize for the lateness, but it's been a busy past couple of months having to work on my own film. So sometimes when you got your passion project, you don't get to really do the recording of the reviews, even though you actually saw all the films. Like later on, I'm going to be talking about the movies that I love so much in 2019. But anyway, let's get to Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which is of course the final film of the Skywalker Saga and the final film of the sequel trilogy. And it is my least favorite of the sequel trilogy. You know, I know how controversial Last Jedi is with a bunch of Star Wars hardcore fans, but The Last Jedi to me was such a great examination of Star Wars and what Star Wars is, what the Force is, what the Jedi is, and questioning of what I love about Star Wars, while still giving me the entertaining Star Wars moments that I expect and love. I dug what they did with Luke. I dug the fact that the sequel characters had to learn what failure was like before they had get to rise, pun intended. And I love that it felt like it was putting a foot down by saying the big bad of this sequel trilogy is Kylo Ren, and we're gonna be breaking patterns. Let the past die, kill it. I love that line. If you have to, it's the only way you can become what you were meant to be. I love that. And the Rise of Skywalker, in the comparison, is very, very safe. Very safe. It's almost like they made the movie because they were scared. They were scared of how people, hardcore fans, reacted to The Last Jedi. So let's just do everything they want us to do to send them happy. So it goes back on certain ballsy decisions that Rian Johnson made, and I wasn't too happy about that for the most part. Whether it's Rey's backstory, which I love that she came from nothing, and what they come up with is very convolting and very like, oh god. Why does the female character, for a lot of men, have to be related to a male character to explain her power? I don't understand her. Why can't she just be powerful because she's what the Force needed her to be? I love that, but that's gone. Rose just completely gets shafted, and I thought that was disgusting, especially considering what the actress had to go through after The Last Jedi. You basically let the racists win. Good for you. But the thing that shocked me is how messy it is. It's a very messy movie. It's very rushed, especially in the first act. It's very, very rushed. Instead of becoming a natural sequel and continuation of what the sequel series was doing with The Last Jedi, it tries to fight the previous movie and then tries to do what it thinks it should do, and it thinks the fans want it to do, and it just comes off as a mess. It's a disaster. It's like the Emperor's Return is completely unnecessary in my opinion, and it comes from nowhere because it was not something that the other two set up. And if they were supposed to set it up, they didn't do it. They just didn't do it because it's like they literally had to do it in the opening crawl. The dead speak. I'm like, oh, okay, alrighty then. And then in the end, what was the point? Really, what was the point? It almost felt like the Star Wars version of Saw, the final chapter, where they just said, all right, we'll just give the people. We don't have no story. Let's just give the people what they say they want. So, it was. And it was still fun. It has that nice JJ breeze to it, but it doesn't have as sure of a hand as his other movies that I actually really love have. Whether it's The Force Awakens or Mission Impossible 3 or Super 8 or both his Star Treks. I love both his Star Treks personally. And the flaws that people had for those films really do come out in this one, especially after The Last Jedi, especially after something so original and so gutsy and so boundary pushing for Star Wars. This is status quo. It goes right back to status quo. If Force Awakens was New Hope, this is definitely Return of the Jedi, but nowhere near as good. And there's just certain ways they could have told the story from where Ryan left it, with Luke's sacrifice and how it could have inspired the galaxy. And it looked like it was, with the ending of that film. And they didn't even go with that here. And way too many characters, way too many useless plots, way too many plot holes, because I'm sorry, they can say what they want about why Finn was saying what he was saying. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in the context of the scene, and it didn't make sense to not resolve it in the film. Didn't work. Didn't work. Right, I gotta tell you something. Never comes up again. Oh, forget it, it's alright. That's stupid. There's such thing as, okay, leave it to the audience, and there's such thing as we're an idiot because we cut a scene out. And that's what it feels like. There's a lot of moments that feel like the scenes are cut out of this film. So, you know, it's a shame that it kind of ended with my least favorite one, and one of my least favorite ones in the whole saga, personally, because I believe I prefer the whole original trilogy, the first two sequel trilogies, films, and Revenge of the Sith. I prefer over this, and probably Rogue One as well. But hey, at least we got the Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, so Clone Wars is coming back, so you know, that's just, it's been a couple of weeks, but that's how I still feel about The Rise of Skywalker. So it's fun, but ultimately it's a little disappointing because I feel like they really could have stuck the landing better. They really, and they could have put their own personal stake, and own personal stamp on the story. Instead, they just did another remake. Force Awakens is a remake of New Hope. This one's a remake of Return of the Jedi. So the only one that had anything new to say was The Last Jedi. The one everybody hates. That's sad. That's unfortunate. And hopefully for the rest of Star Wars, we'll be doing something new. So this is Chris Johnson for Fear My Reviews. Have a good one.